It's cold. Next. This show's boring. Next show. I want to watch the next show. This show's great.
Hi friends! I am so excited for today's video. I have been really excited for this one more than the others. I don't know why, I guess I just love talking about it. You probably already know what it is reading the title down below, but I'm gonna be talking about getting married young and my journey with it, the story that my husband and I have. I wanted to just dive in and tell you guys a little brief summary of my husband and I's story, journey going up to when we got married, and then I wanted to share 5 things of advice or 5 tips that I want to give to anyone who's getting married. And honestly, this is more focused on people who are getting married young, but I mean, at the same time, it applies to really anybody, no matter what age you are getting married. I think it's just for anyone who's new to marriage. So I'm gonna share Sam and I's story and then the 5 tips. And then I'll be answering some questions that you guys sent in on Instagram. If you guys want to be a part of my YouTube videos, I highly suggest following me on Instagram, because that is where I will be asking questions or I will be involving you guys. Go follow me there if you want to be a part of my YouTube channel and if you just want to see more of my life. Okay. So he got off of his mission and I just graduated high school, and we both were in the same orientation group at our college. And so that's where we met, was the first day that we were there. And I remember the first time I saw him, like I really saw him, was when we were just kind of waiting for something. Us and our group of people, we were just kind of waiting around for something. And so we were just passing a volleyball around and I went and stood next to him, and I just could not help but think this is the most gorgeous man I've ever seen. And I also just felt this feeling, like when I saw him first, I just felt like I knew we had a story to play out, or like I knew that he was gonna have some part in my life, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, you know, after orientation, a little bit later, I decided to do a Shrek-a-thon because I love Shrek, and I decided, you know, what better way to start off college than with a Shrek-a-thon. I didn't have Sam's number yet, so I invited his roommate and said, hey, I'm having a Shrek-a-thon, it'd be awesome if you and Sam want to come. I was hoping that Sam would come along, which he did, and he came, and I thought it was so cute because he came up to me and asked me where I was going to be sitting. And when I told him, he went and sat right in that area, and so I was like, oh, he must like me. We watched the Shrek-a-thon, and then Sam made me ramen. If there is nothing else that shows love, Shrek and ramen definitely does. Then he invited me to his house to watch a solo movie, and then we went to this really gross Chinese restaurant and ate some Chinese and just kind of hung out and talked. And then after that, like every day we would go to each other's house just to do homework and just kind of hang out. One day I texted him and I was like, hey, is it cool if I come over to do homework? And he texted back, no. I was like, oh, awesome. And he said, no, I think I'll just, I need a break. I'm just gonna hang out by myself today and whatnot. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And my sad little heart thought that was him saying, I don't really like you, and I'm moving on. And so I just stopped texting him. I was just like, hey, I'll just give him the space he wants. He took his space and I let him take his space. And then another friend invited me to go just hang out and play ping pong in one of the lounges at the college. And so I went over and I was hanging out with them and Sam was there. I was really nervous, but I was also hopeful. Oh gosh, it was tricky. But we ended up hanging out a little bit. We played ping pong. I won. We had fun. And then he asked me out on a date a few days later. And so I went on a date with him. We had so much fun. We went and got boba. We went to a park and fed ducks and like just ran around, hung out, and then talked a lot. And it was so fun. I mean, after that date, we were just hanging out all the time again. We were having fun with each other. Okay, so then my friend came into town and we decided we wanted to do a double date. So I invited Sam along and we asked another one of my friends to go along with her. And the four of us went on a date to just go to this haunted forest. And that date was the funnest date ever. I had so much fun with Sam. We just really enjoyed it, had the time of our lives. And then we came home, we were just sitting on my couch talking, having a really good conversation. And then he just said, he turned to me and he just said, "You know." And then he kissed me. So then we started officially dating. While we were dating, you know, I had wanted to go on a mission for my church, which I talked about in my first video a lot. So if you guys want to be more in the loop with that whole story, I'm not going to talk about it a lot here, but if you want to be more in the loop with that, definitely, you know, check out my first video. Basically, I was thinking about going on a mission. Like, the longer I was dating him, the more I thought, okay, maybe I don't want to go yet. And I decided I would just wait a little while and date him some more just to see how things went. And then we went on our trips for Christmas break where his family went to New Zealand, my family went to Thailand, and we were away from each other for just over 2 weeks. And that was the longest we'd been apart since we met. That trip, you know, we had been dating for like 4 months at that point. That trip was when I really realized, or I guess 3 months. Yeah. That trip was when I realized that I loved Sam, that I wanted to be with him, that I wanted to date him. While I was on that trip, I was having the time of my life, but at the same time, I was so sad that Sam wasn't with me, that, you know, he wasn't there getting to experience and enjoy it with me, you know, even though he was off doing his own thing with his family. But I just realized how much I wanted him in my life and how much I wanted to be a part of his, how much I wanted to just be with him, experience all the awesome things in life with him, and just do stuff with him and just have him in my life. And that's when I think I realized that I wanted to marry him. We both came back from our trips. We started really talking about marriage. I think we both kind of had that same realization while we were away from each other. And then I decided to not go on a mission. I decided I didn't want to go, that instead I wanted to stay home and marry Sam. Then the pandemic happened and Sam had to go home to his family, and so he invited me to go with him, and so I went out with him. I think I stayed there for like 2.5 months, but basically I got to know his family, fell in love with them, fell more in love with Sam, and then near the end of my time being there, he proposed to me. And I'll tell you guys the proposal story probably in the future in some other video. I don't know, maybe I'll bring him in and have him talk about it with me. But yeah, so he proposed to me. I went back home. We started planning our wedding while we were away from each other. We spent some time, you know, physically apart while he was living in Missouri and I was living in Wyoming. A month before we got married, he came out to Wyoming and stayed with me and my family. And then we got married. We started dating when I was 18 and he was 21. Yes. And then we got married when I was 19 and he was 22. We dated for, I think, about 6 months. We're engaged for like 3 months. We got married in August. And now we've been married for about 10 months. By the time this video comes out, I think it'll be just over 11 months, almost a year, which is so crazy. But yeah. No, we were dating for about 8 months and then we're engaged for like 3 months. My bad. But yeah, so that's our journey, how it all played out for us. And scattered, brief summary of it, but that is how our relationship went. Okay, so now I want to jump in and talk to you guys about 5 tips that I have or advice that I want to give to anyone who's like nervous about marriage, anyone who has questions about marriage, who's preparing to get married, all of the above, with all the knowledge that I contain. So the first thing of advice is to talk to God and make him a part of all the decisions, the journey, all of it. Just talk to God and make him a part of everything. This one is so important to me. I put it first because I think it is the most important, honestly. I feel like it's the most important because God loves you more than anybody. More than anybody, God loves you. And he wants you to have the happiest life you can. He wants you to strive to be your best, to live the best life, and he knows what's best for you. For me, talking to God and getting like his approval was so important. I mean, we involved him in all of it, the whole journey. When we were talking about marriage, we were praying about it. We have been praying through it all, and I think that's so important to really reach out to him, to pray to know if the decisions are correct, Pray to know if the person that you're with is the person you should marry. For me, I had to pray to know if I needed to choose to go on a mission and maybe marry Sam after, maybe not, or to just marry Sam and start our family. I felt the best choice was to marry Sam. And the same thing, I think a lot of the times it's not necessarily you receive this like awe-inspiring thing of, oh, this is the person you need to marry, you're with your one. It's a good choice, it's a good path. If you feel good about it, then that's awesome. I don't think there's necessarily one decision that's like correct above all others. There's a lot of good decisions you can make, a lot of good paths you can take in life. If you're praying and if you feel good about the decision you want, huge thing, talk to God. Keep him involved. But for me, talking to God was the most important thing I could have done in the process of deciding to get married. Okay, so the next thing of advice I wanted to give is to make sure you still make time to do what you love and to support your spouse in doing what they love. I feel like when I got married, it's kind of like when I got married, I felt like I had to just like spend all this time with my husband, that anything I was doing, I needed to try to do it with him, and I needed to try to make sure that like we were just soaking up all this time together, when in reality, it's just as important to make time for yourself as it is to make time for your spouse. And me and my husband quickly realized this. We realized that obviously we love each other. Obviously we love hanging out with one another. We love spending time together. And that's important, and we do prioritize it. But it's also so important to take some me time, to focus on things that you love personally or that you want to do, to take the time to do what you love and to do things that you personally want to do. So make sure you take time to do what you love, to do things that really feel like you, feel like that me time that you deserve, because it's so important. For me, this YouTube channel is 100% a me time thing that I love to do, and Sam supports me on that 100%. He is so supportive. And it's the same way, flipped, It's important to support your spouse just as much as it's important that you feel supported by your spouse. My advice here is to make the time to do what you love, but also to support your spouse in doing what they love. This next one, I feel like, is one that really needs to be heard and needs to be realized. When I got married and, when I was in the process of getting married, I had so many people wanting to give their opinions. And some of them, some of these people are people I love, I adore, I really appreciated their opinions. Other people just felt like random people that just felt the need to tell me what they thought. And sometimes it was nice. Sometimes it was a little too personal. Sometimes it was pushy. Sometimes, it's all this different stuff. Sometimes it was rude in the nicest way possible. My advice here is you should make the decision that's best for you, the choices that are best for you, and don't worry about what other people are going to think about it or what other people are going to say about it, because honestly, people are always going to have their opinions and they're always going to want to give them. And even if they're not necessarily kind or good or helpful or anything like that, even if they feel like just people wanting to tell you what they think, people just genuinely feel the need and feel the desire to give their opinions. And so it happens a lot where people just, they do that. And yes, I mean, if it's your mom and dad, or if it's your spouse's mom and dad, or your grandma and grandpa, or like if it's people that you truly like look up to, you want their opinions, you feel, you know, that they help you, then of course, you know, you can take their opinions into account, listen to them, you know. But I mean, the random people on like Instagram or in your church or in your social group, your friend group, your peers, your work area, like just people who just decide they want to give your opinion because they find out you're getting married, or they feel like you shouldn't get married because you're too young, or they're so excited you're getting married so you can start your journey of having millions of kids because that's what our job is here, you know? I mean, there's so many opinions and so many people will tell you why your decision is wrong, why your decision is right, and what you need to do. I feel like it's the entire spectrum. They're gonna give their opinions, they're gonna tell you what they think, and you just have to let it roll off your shoulder. You just have to say, you know, their opinion doesn't really matter. They gave it because they wanted to. They were gonna give it regardless. In reality, just worry about yourself, worry about your spouse, and worry about your relationship, because really, you're the only one that truly knows what's right for you. Okay, the fourth thing of advice is to let yourself still be young and enjoy your youth, enjoy life as a young person. When I got married, it's like this little switch flipped. Someone switched the flipped the switch. And I just all of a sudden felt like, oh man, I need to be working hard, saving money, taking care of the house, like cleaning up, making sure the house is clean, making sure I'm working hard, making sure my schooling is like perfect, all this stuff, which yes, this stuff is very important. But at the same time, it's like I felt like I couldn't do fun stuff anymore. Like I couldn't really be young. I felt like it was like, I'm an adult, gotta be an adult, you know? But in reality, I was expecting to be like my parents all of a sudden when I got married, when really, I'm not them. I'm younger than them, and I'm not at the stage of life they're in. And so for me, I needed to remind myself that yes, I am still 19, or now I'm still 20. It's so important to not get so wrapped up in that adult life, but to let yourself have fun. Let yourself enjoy life. Let yourself do fun stuff with your spouse, with your family, with your friends, all of the above. I don't know if you guys can hear the lovely... Oh. But anyways, cut yourself some slack. You're still a human, you're still young, in your college age or in your young youthful age, and it's okay. It's okay that you're young, and it's okay to still be young. You don't have to all of a sudden grow up to act like a 40-year-old when you're only 20. I mean, seriously, it's totally fine. The last thing of advice I want to give, which I feel is like up there, right close up there with talking to God. This is like the second most important one to me. And that is, everyone is different. Everyone's timing is different. Everyone's life is different. So you should not ever compare yourself to anyone else. Whether you're getting married young, whether you feel like it's taking ages for you to find your person and get married, whether you don't think you ever are going to get married, or even you don't think you ever want to get married. Like, literally, whatever your life is, whatever you are doing in life, try your best not to compare yourself. You have no clue who this person is completely. I mean, you don't know the things they go through. You don't know their personal struggles. You don't know them as much as you are comparing yourself to them. You're comparing yourself to like an eighth of their life, you know? Comparing ourselves to other people is the worst thing we can do to ourselves or for ourselves, because that's just us judging ourselves out of something that really shouldn't be judged. So my advice here is to learn to love yourself for who you are. Learn to find the joys and the good in your life, and to focus on you. Focus on your life. Don't compare your life to other people's lives. It's really not necessary. I think we all need to be here to support each other. We all should be there for each other. We should be kind to each other. We should be supportive of one another, but we shouldn't compare ourselves to each other. If you have advice you want to share with the rest of us, that you want to give to us, or some tips or some things that you experienced or that helped you when you were deciding to get married, or if you got married young, please share below. Please share in the comment section. We'll take it how we want to, and we'll learn from it what we should. So now I'm going to answer just a few questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. Like I said before, if you want to be a part of my YouTube videos, follow me on Instagram. How did you know getting married was the best decision? I would say how I knew marriage was the best decision was because I really wanted it. I knew it was the best decision because I had prayed about it, because I had really thought about it, and in the end, you know, the more I dated Sam, the more I realized that I wanted to be his wife. I think the marriage, you know, to say it simply, is marriage was the best decision for me, because marriage is the decision that made me the most happy, that made me so excited to think about, that made me feel just so, I don't know, full of joy. When I thought about getting married to Sam, I just felt happy. Next question is, how did you know he was the one? I love this question. I feel like that's a big one that we ask her, that, you know, everyone asks themselves if their partner is the one. He's definitely the person I wanted to be with. For me, how I knew he was the one was the more we dated, the more I got to know him, the more I just wanted to be with him, and the more I wanted to be his wife. I did not want to live my life without Sam. Like, it got to the point where I genuinely I didn't see my life without him in it, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to see my future without Sam. I didn't want to see, you know, becoming a mom, raising kids, you know, living my life, growing old. I just wanted that with him. He's such a good man. He, you know, treats me like a queen. He treats me so well. He cares for me. He loves me. He shows me that love. He tells me, and he's done this, you know, our entire relationship, he's done this, and he's been just so good. He's been such a good man to me and to just other people. So he's genuinely a good man, and I knew I wanted that. I mean, obviously there was things I knew I wanted in a husband. I wanted him to be religious like me, and I really wanted to marry someone within my religion. So important to me, because the same values would be there. You know, we'd have the same values, we'd have the same things that were important to us. I wanted to marry someone who treated me well, you know, who made me feel good, and who I felt comfortable with, who I felt like I was treated right. And I wanted to marry someone who made me happy, who made me feel happy, made me laugh, made me, you know, smile, brought joy into my life, enjoyed doing the things I like doing. He was that person for me. He was that person that I genuinely wanted to be with. I found my person. Did you think marriage would take away the life you wanted to live? How did you get over that? I think, yes, I was worried that it would take away the life I wanted to live. I had wanted to go on a mission for my church ever since I was a little girl, you know? My whole life I wanted to. And I mean, I talked more about this in my first video, like I said, so definitely go check that out. I wanted to experience, you know, college, being a college girl, and I wanted some things, but when I met Sam and as I started dating him and I was, you know, thinking about marrying him, I had to think about these things that I wanted in my life and decide if those things were more important than being with him and marrying him. And in reality, I realized that giving up those things didn't really feel like I was giving them up, because I felt so blessed and like I was being gifted with something so much greater. By the time I was, you know, to the point where I wanted to marry Sam, I didn't really want to go to Europe or other places around the world without him anyways. You know, if I'm gonna go somewhere, I want him to be with me. I want him to go with me. And so that dream kind of was changed to become an even greater dream. And then the dream of serving my mission made me just realize that it was more important to get married when I did. And it just ended up that way. I'll get opportunities in the future to do it with him when I'm older. Next question is, did you know you were ready for marriage? How did you prepare? Okay, so yes, I was ready for marriage. I really think I was. I mean, obviously you can never be entirely ready for marriage. Like, I don't know if I would ever say I was 100% ready for marriage, but I was ready enough. I was ready as I'll ever be, you know? And I think it's because I, first off, always knew I wanted to get married. And I always knew I wanted to get married young. I mean, I thought young isn't 25, not 19, but I always wanted marriage and I always wanted to get married young. I've always wanted a family, you know, like this is just something I have known that I've wanted for a long time. I really knew I wanted it. I feel like I prepared for it my whole life by really learning and knowing for myself that that is something I wanted. I feel like a lot of people struggle where they don't know if they want marriage, and that is hard. I feel like that's when you really question, oh, is this the right decision? Am I prepared? But I think if you know, when you really know you want marriage, it just helps you be more prepared anyways. And I mean, on top of that, I prepared by, you know, talking to God a lot, praying about it. I talked to my parents a lot about marriage. I talked to Sam a lot about it. I just learned about marriage. I took the liberty of reading different books on marriage. I think we were prepared because A, we knew what we wanted. We knew we wanted it. And B, we held it at the importance that it was. You know, I mean, that decision to get married and that preparation to get married, the process of preparing, holding it at the importance of the actual marriage itself, I think is what really helps you to be prepared. Last question is, any advice for anyone doing the same? So obviously I gave all of that advice up there. I guess if there's one more thing I could say as advice, let go of little things. Not worry about little things, but just enjoy where you're at in life. Be happy, find the positives and the happiness about your life right now. If you're in the process of, you know, preparing for your wedding to get married, just let yourself enjoy that process. Let yourself enjoy getting ready to get married, enjoy being engaged, enjoy planning a wedding. I mean, let yourself just find what you love about it and enjoy it. And then if you're in the stage of marriage, if you're married, you know, newlywed, you're young, just find those things that are just so awesome about it. Because you guys, marriage is the best. It is awesome. I love it. And there's so much to just be happy about with it, to enjoy with it. And so I think it's so important to just find those things wherever you're at in your stage of life. Find the joy in it. Find what makes you happy. Find the positive. Life is so awesome. Life is worth it. Like, enjoying life is so good. It's so important and it's so awesome. It's the way to live. And so, yeah, my last bit of advice to end this video is to just enjoy whatever stage of life you're in. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I feel so supported. I feel like I feel more supported than I should be, but I'm really grateful for you guys. You guys are truly the best. I hope whatever stage of life you're in, that you're enjoying it, that you're loving it, that you're finding the good in it. I hope you're being kind to those people around you, kind to others. If you're getting ready to get married, let me know down below. I'm so excited for you. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me a lot, so I really appreciate when people do that. If there's other videos about marriage or about, anything in that area, if any videos that you want to see from me, please comment below. Let me know those videos. Go follow me on Instagram. And thank you so much for being here. Have an awesome day.